everybody, welcome back to Redemption with Jaden. Unfortunately, no Lackey Grand Prix gameplay this week because we are in between Lackey Grand Prix 27 and 28 now. Round 1 of Lackey Grand Prix 28 is in the works, or it is going on. So next week you're going to be able to see the Round 1 game against my brother because, of course, this is now like the third time in the last 4 Lackey Grand Prix, I think, that we got paired up in round 1. Kind of ridiculous, if you ask me. I call shenanigans on Tim's tournament tracker logic, pairings logic, or whatever. I don't know what's up with that, but I got paired up in round 1, so we have yet to play that game, but we will be doing that at some point here, and that will be the video next week, assuming everything goes according to plan. And so for this week, instead of a game, I have the Type 2 multi-cube sitting here in front of me. And this is going to be used at the Type 2 only tournament next weekend, April 17th and 18th. The Friday night, we are going to be doing all kind of unofficial categories or unofficial events. It's going to be the Type 2 multi-cube as kind of the primary event or attraction, I guess, for Friday night. It's kind of in lieu of Type 2 multi no longer being an official category at tournaments. And so we're going to be doing that Friday night. Then Saturday we'll have our official Type 1 2-player category. It is just a local tournament, but there are some pretty big prizes involved. The first place prize for winning, you're going to get a $100 Your Turn Games gift card. Second place gets a $50 gift card. And third place, that's right, they're third place, even though it's a local, is going to get a $25 gift card to Your Turn Games. And that's in addition to the winner promo and packs and stuff that you get for first and second. And then also throughout the weekend, there will be a Type 1 Ironman event going on. So if you're not interested in playing Type 2, or just you want to play Type 1 in addition to Type 2, kind of in between events and stuff, then you can go ahead and still come play Type 1 Ironman games against other people who are coming just to play Type 1, and you get to kind of keep track. We'll have a way for you to keep track of your wins, and then whoever has the most wins by the end of the weekend will be our Ironman winner, and you will also get a $25 Your Turn Games gift card. So lots of cool prizes available for the tournament. I've got a few people that I know of coming from out of state. If you are from out of state and you're planning to come, be sure to let me know so that we can make sure that we've got lodging and everything figured out for you. We do have options for that available, but please do reach out to me so that we can coordinate that ahead of time. And I'm pretty excited about the tournament, and hopefully if you guys are able to make it, then you're excited about it too. I think I'll be able to have live streaming going on for Saturday for Type 2 2-player. I haven't confirmed the setup and availability and everything for that, but I probably will have it in some format, if not kind of like my full setup, then at least a setup to make sure that the games get recorded and hopefully live streamed, posted online and in real time. So you guys can participate in that way if you're not able to make it in person. We do hope to make this an annual event once again. This will be the 15th installment of this tournament. So it was an annual event in the past, but the last one took place in 2019. So we're bringing it back and hopefully keeping it going. That's the idea. So probably around this time of year is going to be the goal. That's where it was previously was actually a little earlier in the year, around like February timeframe. But if you get any earlier than that, then getting people to come to Minnesota from out of state is tricky. Even February, can be kind of tricky. And so, March, April, it's usually pretty good here. Once in a while we get a snowstorm, but next weekend's looking pretty good. So I'm excited for the tournament, excited for the turnout, having everybody coming together, seeing some faces I haven't seen in a while. So that is going to be a fun time. And for this video, what we're going to be doing is going over the cube that we're going to be using on that Friday night. I'm not going to spend too much time because there's a lot of cards to go over, and I could go into a lot more detail, but then we'd be here forever. I don't think anybody really wants that, but I'm just going to be talking about how it works, some of the approaches I took in building it, and kind of showing what cards and what themes are in the cube, and what things got left out. It makes it so that the cube, there's a little bit more of a level playing field. It's good for people to kind of know what to expect when they're going into it, especially if you're have a more competitive mindset about this. The idea for this isn't necessarily to be competitive. I don't think we have we don't have the same kind of like prizes being offered for the cube draft, other than glory, I guess. That'll be important, I guess. But um, the the main idea of this is just to have some fun, playing some Type 2 multi, and having a good time. I will say just right off the bat, for anybody who's like, oh my gosh, Type 2 multi, you played a 7, you have these huge decks, everybody's got defense, so much chaos. I'm thinking, I haven't kind of solidified this yet, and we might just make a game day decision based on what people think. But because there are no rescue dominance in this cube format, we might just play to 5. But I don't know. We might just kind of see how it feels as we're going. Like, are the games taking too long, or are we are the offenses actually able to break through, things like that. So that's something that I'm thinking about. We can go over kind of the rest of the rules here as well. But as you can see, there are a lot of cards here. I guess I don't even. You can probably see this before, but yeah, 1,760. It was to the point where I actually had to reach out to Tim and be like, hey, it seems like there might be a bug because I got to 1,700, or I put all the cards in, but then when I went back to look at the public deck list, it just said like there were only 1,700 cards in the deck. And I was like, oh no, like did I miss something, or like, but I just had to kind of go back and refresh. And after a little while, I think maybe Tim was able to address that, or like figure out what the bug was. And so now it should, hopefully, if you guys look in the description below, you can go look at this on the redemptionccg.app and see the full list here, and hopefully it'll show you all 1,760 cards that are in this massive cube. So as you can see, we've got 199 artifacts, covenants, and curses, 41 dominance. And then we've got a couple evil character, evil enhancements. Actually, Persian horsemen and horses is in here too. I don't know if must be in a different category, but we've got 356 evil characters. You can see there are a lot of duplicate evil characters because this is Type 2, so you can run multiple copies of cards. We've got a few camps, evil character fortresses here. We got 7 of those, 232 evil enhancements. So I kind of took like a 2/3-ish sort of ratio, or like 2 to 3 for enhancements to characters, because you definitely want to make sure you have enough characters, and the enhancements just kind of fill in. Yeah, here's Persian horseman. Apparently we need to change the type on this to be evil character / evil enhancement. But anyway, that's a bug for the next Lackey update, I guess. 110 fortresses and sites. So we've got plenty of fortresses, but then also some, I guess, some cities, and then also sites here. Not a whole lot of sites that are useful, but there are in rotation, but there are definitely some that are fun, and you will be able to put lost souls in sites here because that's how we do things in Minnesota for unofficial events when we get to do that. And then 73 dual alignment enhancements, and 9 good enhancement evil characters, mostly animals here. We got 1 good enhancement hero, 269 good enhancements. So it's a little heavier than 2 to 3 on the good enhancements to heroes, because we've only got 343 heroes, which is a few fewer than evil characters. But then we've got 29 dual alignment characters here as well, 84 lost souls that you can draft, and Babylon, which is technically just a site at face value. Same with New Jerusalem Bride of Christ, but they're both in here. And no, there's no New Jerusalem in the cube, like New Jerusalem Dominant, but having a hero that's all brigades, it just seems pretty good in a draft format. So down here in the description, you can see kind of the breakdown of how this will work. In Type 2, you have to have an equal amount of good and evil cards in your deck, and so if all of these cards were mixed together, it would be really hard to confirm that you have the right number of good, evil, and neutral cards. And so the way that we're going to do it, we can have up to 16 players with this number of cards, and then there will be good packs and evil packs. There will be each of those packs will have 15 cards, and then there will also be neutral packs that have 10 cards. Each player gets 3 good packs, 3 evil packs, and 2 neutral packs. So that's going to be a total of 45 good cards, 45 evil cards, and 20 neutral cards. And then you can use any number of me-colossals on top of that. And so that makes a total of 720 good cards, 720 evil cards, and 320 neutral, for a grand total of 1,760 cards in the cube. And so with the packs kind of separated into good, evil, and neutral, that means that everybody's going to get an equal number of each of those guaranteed. And the way that we'll draft them, I believe, at least kind of what I planned out, was good, evil, neutral, good, evil, neutral, good, evil. So you're kind of alternating with all of the different types of packs, and so that way you can kind of I don't know, maybe people will want to just do like all good then all evil or something, but you want to get some synergy or some overlap in there, especially with the neutral cards, and seeing like what dual alignment stuff you get. That can kind of help your synergy a little bit. But I mean, if you're doing like good evil, then you're doing good again, then you have to remember back to a couple packs of, okay, like what other good cards did I have? So it can be a little bit tricky, but I mean, it's Type 2, so things might be just a little bit trickier to keep track of because there's more cards involved, but it is going to be fun. So the decks have to be legal according to the official Type 2 deck building rules. The only exception is that duplicates of unique characters may exceed the Type 2 deck building limitations. So like with any, just about any draft format, your deck building rules are slightly more loose, where you can run duplicates of cards. Of certain cards, I guess you still can't duplicate dominance, but in this case, it's actually going to be very difficult to draft an illegal Type 2 deck. With the cards that you have, you will technically just be able to build a legal Type 2 deck, with perhaps the exception of a few unique characters. So, like, for example, with Moses, where did he go? So we've got 2 copies of Moses, Friend of God, 1 copy of the Cloud Moses, and then 2 copies of Moses the Servant. So if we took out 1 copy of Moses the Servant, then technically this would actually this would be legal in Type 2. You could run 1 copy of Cloud Moses, 1 copy of Moses the Servant, and then 2 copies of Moses Friend of God, just because of the way the brigades work out. I'm not going to explain all of that, but in a Type 2 deck, that would be legal. But because we have 2 copies of Moses the Servant here, if you drafted all of the Moseses, not only would you have 1 too many with more than 1 brigade, but you would have 5 total, so that wouldn't work. It wouldn't be a legal Type 2 deck in a tournament. But in this case, if you draft Cloud of Witnesses Moses and both Moses the Servants, you can include all of them in your deck. You still can't have more than 1 in play at any given time, but for the most part, all individual cards that are in the cube are limited to by the number of brigades that they have. So like Zerubbabel, there are only 2 Zerubbabels because he has 2 brigades at face value, gold and red. And so when you're building a Type 2 deck, you can only have up to 2 copies of Zerubbabel. Someone like Spies at whatever you want to say, is only single brigade, so you could have up to 4 copies, but I only included 2 in the cube. And so because of the brigade limitations, like cards like Noah the Righteous and Melchizedek were limited to 1, all of the dominants are limited to 1, and so I pretty much use the Type 2 deck building rules to determine the maximum number of certain cards that I was going to include. And I didn't necessarily go to the maximum, but the only exception would be for some of those unique characters where they have different versions. So like David Heart I Forgot, I've got 2 of him, but also have 2 copies of David the Unifier, 1 copy of David the Psalmist, 1 copy of David the Shepherd, so wherever, and 1 copy of David Outcast Refuge. So lots of versions of David that you could not normally include all of in a Type 2 deck. Also have 2 Old Testament hoppers and 2 New Testament hoppers. Soul Gen was a big thing I wanted to make sure was included in here, so there is plenty of that. So that's kind of a summary of how the cube, like the idea I had going into it, of how are we gonna design this, and then also some other information about how to actually do this, how to use the cube. And so if you draft in pods of 8, then you can just split into 2 groups of 4 by going like every other player is in one pod and then every other player is in another. Or you can just draft in pods of 4, or depending on how many people you have, you can go with that. But since there are 15 cards in each pack of the good and evil cards, then drafting in a pot of 8 isn't that weird, but it means that for the neutral packs, you're only going to see the same pack. You're only going to see 2 of the packs twice. I guess the rest of them you'll just see once. So it's not as ideal if there's only 10 cards in the pack to be drafting in a pot of 8, but maybe we'll do pods of 6 and then figure it out from there. It really just depends on how many people we have. Maximum is going to be 16. So before we go into all the cards, I've got a couple of shout outs to do. One of them is going to be to my boy Mitch, who put in a lot of work on this cube while he was in his Chicago layover on his way down to Kentucky State. I was supposed to meet up with him there, and we were going to work on it together. You all know how that worked out with the flight. I mean, maybe you don't, but my flight got canceled. I didn't make it down to Kentucky State, unfortunately, because there just wasn't an alternative that made sense. Ended up still having a fairly decent weekend. I won't get into that now, but I got this hat. It's pretty cool. But it was in Minnesota instead of at Kentucky State, where I was hoping to be and hoping to work on this cube, and hanging out with the guys there. But Mitch did put in a lot of work, especially in making the laying down the groundwork for the defense, like the evil cards. And so he got pretty much all the way through that, and like adding cards and keeping the ratios good and everything, to the point where I just had to go in afterwards and clean things up. I think I had to add pale green, but yeah, he put in a lot of good work. So shout out to Mitch. Thank you for that, and looking forward to seeing him at the Type 2 only, because he's planning to be there as well, doing some cube drafting. And then of course, a shout out to our sponsors of the channel over at Your Turn Games. They generously agreed to not only set up a free shipping option for people that are attending the Type 2 only, to they can place their order, use the code for free shipping, and then everything placed with that code is going to be sent to myself, or to Justin here, and then people will be able to pick the cards up at the Type 2 only. So another, at least a few people that took advantage of that. So that was really cool. Unfortunately, if you're watching this now and you wanted to do that, you are too late. Andy has already got the cards ready and wanted to and package them package them up to send out, to make sure that they got here in time. So those are on the way. But Andy also very generously helped support with the prizes that are being offered for winners, covering a portion of the prizes that are being given out. So huge shout out to him. And also, I was one of the ones who took advantage of that shipping code to pick up some of the cards for this cube that I didn't have quite enough copies of. Mostly some of the Times to Come cards that I just haven't collected multiple copies of yet. So I'm glad to be able to give him some business. I got myself some rewards points, so I'm not signed in here, so you can't see how many rewards I got. But anyway, or how many points I got. But the rewards button that's behind me as always. But if you go to Your Turn Games, you can see that in the bottom right corner. Sign in, start earning some points, and then be getting 1 point for every dollar you spend, and then you can see what you can spend them on. I think it's like 100 points for $5 off, something like that. So if you are looking to build your own cube or your own deck, and or you just want to open some packs, then head on over to Your Turn Games, show them some love, get some singles, and buy some booster packs, and or just some pre-built decks. I hear there's a lot of Paragon information coming up, being released sometime today, I think, is what Kurt announced on Discord. So be sure to check out the Paragon decks here as well, what's available on Your Turn Games and what Kurt has mentioned there, because it sounded like there were some Your Turn Games gift cards, prizes and stuff on the line for that as well. So if he hasn't done that already, I guess, then be sure to check that out. So head on over to Your Turn Games, give them some business to meet your redemption needs. And now let's talk about this cube. This is so many cards. It actually was originally going to be for 12 players. That was kind of what I set out originally. I was going to do 540 good, 540 evil, and then 200 whatever, I don't know, something. Was it like 280 or I don't know, something like that for neutral cards. I could do the math right now. Like my brain really wants to, but anyway, for the sake of keeping this thing going, anyway, 12 players was my original goal, and then after we like added the cards that like especially the good cards that I wanted to include, I was like, there are so many. I was at like 800 something, and I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna cut this down all the way to 540 and still like keep all of the themes that I wanted to include like cohesive and having enough support in there. And so I ended up just thinking, well, we're not going to have 2 cubes anyway, so if we have more than 12 people who want to participate, then maybe going up to 16 players is better anyway, and I have enough sleeves to do it. That was the other limiting factor, but I have 2,000 supposedly sleeves that were pretty decent quality. I used them for the cube that I brought down to TJC, right? That's what that was. Yeah. So I mean, the sleeves held up pretty well. I got another batch of them so that I now have 2,000 ready for this, because not only do you need sleeves for all of the cards, but you also need sleeves for the extra Meatclaw souls that people are going to be then putting into their decks. So I needed, what was it? I think 1,984 technically. It was like the minimum. So we'll be cutting it a little close, but that hopefully should work out. And people will be drafting some Lost Souls too. So in theory, we won't need all 224 Meatclaw souls that we theoretically could. So that is the general breakdown of how we ended up with this many cards. And even still, to get it down to like 720 of each, I did have to cut down on the brigades. So if you are a fan of Blue Brigade, I hate to break it to you, but did not make it into the cube. Wow, words. Blue Brigade, I had to cut. I mean, there are some blue cards like I Am Creator, kind of Philstia, whatever, but no like only blue heroes or only blue enhancements. So unfortunately, I forgot that the stats in the public breakdown doesn't give you the breakdown by brigade, like the brigade counts. So maybe we'll go look at the my own version, or whatever, my deck's version, I guess, in a little bit, so that we can see that. Actually, let's just do it right now. You guys can see what other decks I have there. Actually, yeah, those are ones that you guys already know about, so open this up, hide that. Oh, that's right. You have to. Right now, it doesn't have it set up so that you can see the stats in the full version. Okay, so maybe you guys can see that a little bit. Okay. So white, you can see, is the brigade with the most cards, the most support, but actually, like the rest of it is all pretty even. So 207 with white, but then 100, about 180, like 170 to 180, maybe 160. I guess there's only 150 clay. The brigade breakdown was fairly even, but yeah, there's definitely more white. It's a little heavier on white, a little lighter on clay, which is okay. You play clay all the time, and there's so much overlap too. Like there are a lot of cards that are white that are also other brigades, and so that's part of how that happened. And in order to like get everything exactly even, it was just going to be a ridiculous amount of work. So I didn't go with that. The biggest evil brigade is Crimson, which also has a lot of overlap with other brigades in certain cards, but everything else is pretty even. Like looking, about 140 to 150 up to just like 160, and this is pretty just like crude estimate, I guess. Like looking at the numbers like this because you don't know how many of these are evil characters or enhancements or what the breakdown is there. But then, as you can see, there are some red, some teal, some blue, some evil gold. But for the most part, those weren't included as like standalone brigades. For fairly obvious reasons, I guess, for red, teal, and evil gold. Blue, maybe less so, but it's just the one that's the most narrow or like kind of isolated, if you will, which is kind of unfortunate for blue, especially because blue is my favorite color. But in Redemption, it's not exactly my favorite brigade, which didn't really factor into my decision, at least not intentionally. But that was something I was like, something's got to go, and I could either can I keep things more spread out and keep blue, or I could just keep kind of the themes that I wanted to include more, intentionally and more filled out so that you can actually build a more themed deck. At least that's the goal here. So that is what we ended up with. So here, I kind of want to just go back to the community deck version. I guess I could have used the button there, but okay. So lots of covenants, curses, artifacts, and lots of stuff to support kind of the main themes that are in here, but of course, not really supporting the themes that aren't included. So there's not any like Genesis relevant artifacts in here, but I did include like more copies of the more powerful ones. So like 20 shekels is very good. The cross is very good. Abomination of Desolation. So just kind of wanted to spread these out. Magic charms and stocks, like just having more of the kind of more versatile options so that they'll hopefully be well distributed and more people can use those more powerful cards. And then the ones that are more specific, like Moses' staff or Gifts of the Magi or something, they'll be more focused, I guess, on those themes, and people can look for those as they come up. With the dominance, they're just going to be kind of first come first serve. Like if you get Glory of the Lord in pack 1, you're probably going to want to take it, unless I don't know, maybe there's a harvest time. So that might be more important to make sure that you have soul gen going on, or burial is going to be pretty good too. But you kind of have to weigh like, okay, how important is this to be able to stop blockers or especially if there's going to be a lot of special ability lost souls. I don't know why I said stop blockers, but stop other people's attacks to other players. This is multiplayer, so dominants are pretty fun, and how you can use them to interact with other people's battles and those kind of things. But there are definitely lots of special ability lost souls that are going to be going around, so who knows how effective that will be. So yeah, lots of fun opportunities, I think, having these dominants, lots of battle dominants. One in particular that I thought would be fun was Voice from Heaven, which lets you banish all discard piles and up to X cards from each opponent's reserve. And so each opponent multiplayer means that if you really wanted to, you could just blow up everybody's reserve and put a bunch of not very good cards in your reserve if you want to, or I think that'll be kind of fun. So that was another thing you will notice in this cube, that there are like cards that are kind of lend themselves well. I mean, that might be kind of subjective whether or not it's good or not, but have more of an impact, or more uh, do more things in multiplayer versus just two player. I included more copies of those, or made sure to include at least some of those kind of cards in the cube here. So cards like Voice from Heaven, I think that was actually the last dominant that I added, and I was like, oh, actually this would be kind of fun. So we should try to get that in there. Valley of Dry Bones would be another one that would be kind of fun. You get to get a hero from each player and then banish it to take all of those heroes, including all of the captured ones you release. So yeah, some pretty cool stuff here. And then as far as the Evil Brigades, pretty much everything was included except for Evil Gold. But not everything was included as far as like themes within each of those brigades. So you'll notice that there are some Greeks, some Canaanites, and some Philistines, but there aren't very many Sadducees. So we've got like Temple Guard, we've got High Priest Ananias. So kind of just the big staples, but didn't really want to have like the full kind of like soul hide strategy defense. I don't know if it would have been that crazy good, but it would have. It just kind of slows the games down a little bit. So I felt like it wasn't really necessary. Like a plotting priest would be really good in Type 2 multi, where a lot of people are going to be running Meatclaw Souls, or where you yourself can just be running all Meatclaw Souls, and everybody's going to be doing a lot of searching and stuff, which I wasn't trying to shy away from things that would be good, but things that lead to a more negative play experience, I was thinking maybe we could do without those. And Black's got a lot of other fun things to offer, so I wanted to include those without going overboard. We do have Pharisees in gray, though, so Supercilious Scribes and Brood of Vipers are kind of more for that theme, but also work with the black stuff as well. With the brown, we went kind of wilderness and Persians, a little bit of the animal synergy here as well. And a couple of the Job cards as well. Job's wife, and then a few of the animals, Leviathan and Wild Ox, are in the cube. And then with Crimson, we also got to get up to, well, actually kind of like 4 themes, sort of. So it is a little bit spread, but a lot of them work together. We've got Babylonians, we've got some thieves, we've got some Edomites, and then also the animals. So the Edomites and animals kind of work together, and a lot of the cards have like good overlap, where like the Crimson enhancements, I tried to include some of the ones that are more broad. Seized by Babylon gets used in pretty much every Crimson deck, no matter what. I did not include ones like Purloin, which really good star ability for Type 2 multi in particular, especially, I guess. But it only works in battle if used by a thief, so I decided not to include that. I guess we'll talk a little bit more about that with the enhancements, but I did include a good bit of the kind of like stronger characters from each of the themes. We do have 3 Negev Lions and Roaring Lion, the Winged Lion, a couple copies there. So we've, if you see Pride of Lions, might be worth taking it right away and just kind of going for that on defense, because it'd be kind of fun. And you can play it on whoever, and just start taking some lions and having a good time. And then for gray, like I mentioned, we've got some Sadducees, Callous Conspirator, Pharisees, Callous Conspirators, Pharisees, Proud Pharisee, seems pretty good. And opponent uses search ability, so in multiplayer, you might be getting a lot of triggers off of this. And then we have some Emperors here as well. They're nice and lined up as Emperors. And then didn't do any Syrians, but I did include Moabites for, well, I guess Naaman is in here as a Syrian, and Laban, but mostly Moabites was kind of the plan here. They do have a little bit of the Soulhide stuff going on, so hopefully that doesn't make for a negative play experience too much in that regard, but I think it'll be okay as far as soul hide is concerned. A lot of them aren't. A lot of it is like protecting lost souls. The real soul hide comes from the subdued lost soul, which is in here, but in order to make it work, you got to get it with your Moabites. So yeah, we'll see how that shakes out. For orange, pretty straightforward, just including a bunch of the best demons. We've got some Revelation ones. We've got 2 copies of each Red Dragon version, and then we've got some of the Gospel baddies as well. And Deceiving Spirit is one that works pretty well in a cube format, where you can use enhancements on your brigades. Similarly with Messenger of Satan, Prince of the Air, also pretty good. 3 copies of the Deceiver, so that no matter what defense you're playing, you can. This is somebody or a character that you can use, so probably going to be an early pick for people. And then with pale green, we got Assyrians and Egyptians, pretty much the and I guess magicians here as well. Pretty much the main pale green themes that we have available right now. Sorry, Antediluvians, you just didn't quite make the cut. But yeah, between the magicians, the Assyrians, and the Egyptians, I think pale green should have a pretty good standing here as well. A few of the evil character fortresses here. And then the enhancements, like I said, filling out each of the themes, but also having kind of the more broadly applicable enhancements. So some of them will be good, like Clash with Persia, still good. You can discard a card as controller, must draw 1. If used by a Greek, you get to do it again though. So if you have it with the right theme, then you might get an extra benefit, but even if you don't, you'll still have some use for it. And then I also put in 3 of each of the kind of the do something to up to X heroes, the number of Meek-Lost souls you control, which in Type 2 multi, in a draft format, you might have a good number. So Thrown to the Earth, None to Rescue, and where's it? Judah Handed Over. Included 3 of each of those because they seem like they'd be pretty fun. A good way to kind of create some chaos, hit your opponent's heroes, hit the other guy's heroes, and the other guy's heroes. So lots of opportunities to mess people up, mess with your other opponents, and not just the one in battle against you. Similarly, we've got Great Image. This was like a Type 2 multiplayer menace back in the day. So having a great image to hit not only your direct opponent in battle, but also your other opponents as well, because it is discard all opponents, S apostrophe, heroes and territories. So it's not just targeting who you're opposing in battle, but all players that you are opposing in the game. So that was another inclusion there that I wanted to make sure got in for Type 2 multi purposes. And yeah, I think another one was Not Your Possession, which this one I could see an argument for it coming out, but it just seemed like it would be kind of fun to try out, and like it's just really good if you're playing Moabites and you pull it off, because it restrict opponents from attacking. So that's all other players for 2 turns. So it's like you get to skip all of their rescue attempts, and it also, like, if it's the player to your left that's attacking you and you pull this off, then the players to your across from you and to your right don't get to attack for 2 turns. I don't know, like maybe it's too much. I can see an argument for that. Maybe we'll vote on that and put something else in if people want to. But I was like, oh, this seems like it'd be really good, and it's an evil enhancement, so how bad can it be, right? I don't know. So that was kind of the direction we went. I got 4 copies of Driven by Spirits because it'd be kind of fun if you can pull off that combo, start underdecking stuff, wreaking some havoc. 3 copies of East of Eden, not a card that sees a whole lot of play in Type 1, but in Type 2, and especially in multiplayer, it's pretty decent soul gen. It's maybe a little less good now that the 1 territory class enhancement limit is a thing, but yeah, it was a type 2 multi staple in a lot of Justin's decks. I remember from when type 2 multi was still a thing, and I put it in a decent number of my decks as well. Justin just always liked playing magicians and other pale green stuff, and so East of Eden was an easy splash for no matter what defense you were playing. If you had a magician that fit in with that brigade, like Egyptian magicians in gold or astrologers, Chaldeans, whatever, in pale green and crimson. So yeah, definitely a good one there, fitting in with the rest of the um, soul gen options that I wanted to include here. Maybe another good one to mention is House Divided. It just seems like it could wreak some havoc in a multiplayer setting, especially if you can build your deck to play well around it. And if you pull it off against the opponent who doesn't have the answer in special initiative, and then or maybe they just have a single brigade hero in battle, and this isn't going to give them special initiative, and you're just messing with everybody else. Just seems like fun stuff. It's gonna be a little chaotic. All right, so fortresses and sites. This is another spot where there are going to be some fun multiplayer aspects to it. The good fortresses, I think, are pretty straightforward. Nazareth is maybe kind of the most menacing of the good fortresses, and Wall of Protection might be one of the ones that's kind of the most sought after, so that people can't ban to your stuff and choose to your dudes. But so that's why I included three of them there. We've got some Soul Gen and Kingdom of the Divine, also negating lost souls that can be nice, and uh, yeah. So the rest of them are just kind of fitting in with the different themes. As far as the evil fortresses, that's where things get a little bit more fun. I think we've got high places where there should be a lot of meat lost souls coming down. So if you can get one of these and start, you get it down early, start getting those triggers. That should give you a pretty solid advantage, but remember it's multiplayer, so if you start, going too fast, people might be able to gang up against you in some ways. So it's one of the things you have to consider if you're going to start, pulling too far ahead. The Darkness is another one that came out pretty recently that is fun in multiplayer because it says if a player attacks, you may reveal the character held here. Defending player may add that character to battle, cannot be negated. So if you have a character that's a great blocker that doesn't need a whole lot of support, you can put it in the Darkness and help out your other opponents as they're trying to block your other opponents. So having 3 copies of those, I thought would be pretty fun in a multiplayer setting. The other ones that are maybe Kingdoms of the World is the one to mention first. It says if an opponent plays a dominant, you may underdeck a hero. So that means that, let's say, I'm playing a game with player A, player B, player C, and then me. If player A is attacking player C, and let's say player A plays their battle winner, they played their Authority of Christ, took out all the evil characters, and it's like, oh yeah, I'm about to get a lost soul for sure. Player B could play their Voice from Heaven, or they play their Harvest Time or their Bound in Battle just because, and then I could trigger my Kingdoms of the World to underdeck the hero in battle. It's maybe not like the most fun interaction from like a gameplay perspective, but I think in this format it'll be kind of fun and a little bit chaotic, and so I'm all for it. As far as a cube environment goes, where dominants are relatively limited. Like if let's say there are 16 players, there are 40, was it 40 or 41 dominants in the cube, and so each player on average will have 2.5 dominants, so 2 or 3. So it won't be like super crazy, but just kind of opening up those opportunities, and then also getting lost souls and evil characters out of your deck is pretty good. Similar idea with Pitham. I only included 2 copies of this one though, where you can start milling people or underdeck good cards in their territory. Seems a little bit more realistic. Tree of Knowledge was another one that I thought would be kind of fun. If you have OT Lost Soul Unity, then while occupied, reveal all cards that opponents take or draw by their ability. That's the second part there. So you get to keep all of your cards secret, but if your opponent, of course, whatever they take already has to be revealed. That's a game rule now. But if they attack with Matthew and draw 8 cards, they have to reveal all of those cards that are drawn. I don't know. I think it's kind of fun. And Treacherous Land, also pretty good. If an opponent plays a good multi-brigade card in battle or a dominant, you can draw one from the bottom of deck. So similar idea with like high places, where if you get this down early and just start getting triggers, then you're doing pretty well. So hopefully there are enough of these kind of cards in the cube to where everybody is going to have an opportunity to see one or to take one, and there will be just kind of lots of different abilities, but things that are fun and maybe a little bit difficult to keep track of in a multiplayer environment. But I think that will just add to the fun of the draft and of the games. So looking forward to that aspect for sure. The dual alignment enhancements, pretty straightforward. Nothing too crazy to point out here, I don't think. Like there's maybe unified language is kind of one of the more fun ones, where once you've got 4 players in a game, most likely. So unified language, you can play it on any of the characters that you draft, or at least any of the OT humans, if you want the effect for it. And then you get to band to a human in each territory, so that would be kind of fun. You've got some soul gen options here, like with Warning Against Rebellion, and some like the Gamaliel's speech and speak favorably. Those kind of effects are kind of fun. Acts of Manasseh, they can be good because it's another way for you to interact with with like your opponent's battle. Like if you're not directly involved in the battle, you can still have some some diplomacy or ability to interact that you wouldn't necessarily be able to do if you didn't have a card like this, like a triggered ability or dominant, things like that. And so these will be kind of fun to use in multiplayer environment. The good enhancement evil characters, fairly straightforward. Famine, it's more in here as a good enhancement, but the evil side is kind of fun too. If you discard the top card of all opponents' decks, and then you get to decrease a hero XX. If you have 3 options, then maybe your X will end up being decently high enough where you can just get a block with it. So maybe that'd be a good darkness target or character to hide under there. And all right, let's go into the good enhancements. Similar things here, created by Christ, kind of fun in multiplayer. Everybody gets to do something, be involved with this ability. I use the old version of Generous Giving, the early church version that says each player may draw 3. So a little bit of like group hug kind of stuff going on here. Just fun things for multiplayer to be able to do. This is it's supposed to be kind of a fun casual format, so that's what we're going for. I did include, where did it go? 2 copies of Authority of Christ, 1 copy of The Lord Fights for You. We have like mass evil character removal in most brigades where it's available. So that'll be kind of fun to see how the defenses hold up, because it seems like the defenses will be pretty good, but there are definitely a lot of cards to deal with them, and also to kind of do like collateral damage to your opponent's defenses, which isn't always the best idea in multiplayer. You kind of want them to still be able to block your other opponents, but sometimes you just can't help it. You got to play Authority of Christ to win the battle, and that's gonna to mess everybody up. So I did include a few more Soul Gen pieces, like David's Prayer, and Moshi, I believe, is in here as well. Let's see, is there anything else worth pointing out? As you can see, lots of the kind of white overlap cards, how we just got so many. Like there's only, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, it's like 18, 19 single brigade white enhancements. So it's not that many compared to what you have in some of the other themes, but there's just a lot of overlap with some other brigades. there's just a lot of overlap there. So that's why we ended up with that. Lost Child Found also seems pretty good in Type 2 multi, so had to include a couple of those. You can see our clay lineup is mostly priests, but we do have some New Testament stuff as well. Peter, Titus here to go with the 3 copies of A-Bomb. Seems kind of fun. Where a little bit of group hug, but then if everybody draws, you get to discard a card in each of their territories if you have A-Bomb active. So, yeah, looking forward to stuff like that. Stuff like Generous Widow. Each player must reserve the top card of their deck. So just things that affect multiple players are just fun for multiplayer. So if it has an effect on multiple players, I've probably included it in the cube. Let's see, are there any other good ones to mention? There are 2 copies of Jeremiah in here. He does seem like he'll be pretty good, but not like crazy good. I mean, definitely like a first pick worthy if you happen to see him, but the reserves won't be like you won't have a ton of options for your reserve because you're only getting 45 of each alignment, I guess, like good and evil. And so your reserve might just be kind of leftover cards that you couldn't fit into the main deck. So it is going to be a little bit tight in that regard. If we don't have 16 people, maybe we can do an extra pack if people really want to. Like do 4 packs each, and so you've got 60 cards, so you have more decisions to make. But if we had like too many more cards, it would just be kind of nuts. So with purple, we got some Disciples and some David's Mighty Men, and you can see that the clay kind of also is in here. Obviously, 2 copies of Matthew, 1 copy of most of the other Disciples, 2 copies of Thomas, just because getting those dominants out and being able to use them is kind of fun. 2 copies of Andrew because he's pretty good standalone rescuer. 5 by the numbers stuff is always good. Angels, similar to demons, can support their respective themes, but you can also just go straight angels if you want. We got 3 copies of Angel of Might, who can use any good enhancement. 3 copies of Angel of the Winds, who can, and 3 copies of Victorious Being, similar to Deceiver. They go into a variety of decks. 4 copies of Captive Priest, because that's always kind of fun. Like if you're playing a Captive Priest deck in Type 2, you're using 4 copies. And so I was like, all right, we got to put 4 copies in. There are a bunch of priests kind of scattered across the different themes. Most of them are going to be in clay, but we've got some of the teal ones in here as well, like Zadok, Melchizedek, and Zechariah, things like that. So Captive Priests, I don't think will be useless in most people's hands. So having 4 of them is kind of fun. It's also good soul gen stuff. In Type 2, you no longer have to choose the lost soul like as you're attacking for you to rescue. The rescuer's choice works such that once the battle is determined to be successful and you are rescuing a lost soul, you get to choose which one you rescue. And then with white, we've got some Ruth, some Wilderness, and some Daniel, and some Nativity. So pretty good spread here as well. And I guess also some musician pieces as well. There aren't that many musicians, so Kenaniah might be kind of just chilling a little bit, but 11-7 protected from the next isn't the worst. More soul gen with Name and Servant Girl, Righteous Seeker, just the generic band, being able to bring in other people's stuff seems pretty good. Warrior in Training was another kind of multiplayer fun one, I guess, where even early on in the game you can actually start getting the draw 3 off of him, because X equals the number of redeemed souls. So that's going to be including all players. So that is that's pretty much all I think there was really worth mentioning. The Lost Souls are fairly straightforward. I just put in 2 of all the kind of main staples, I guess. Yeah, I don't think there are any that really were left out that feel like, oh, they should be in here instead of whatever, and there weren't any in here that I was like, oh, that shouldn't be in here. So I kind of just filled it out and ended up with 84, which I think is a pretty good number, where if you take out the 4 copies of Hopper, then it averages out to like 5 per player. if you want special ability Lost Souls. So I figured that would probably be a good amount. And then we've got a couple of the other site characters here that technically will just count as sites. I mean, they are neutral at face value, so those will be in or within the neutral packs. So this is the cube. This is the monstrous cube, which is not completely put together yet. That's the project for this weekend. I've got a number of the cards kind of already sleeved up from the previous cube, but I still have to go through and take out some of the cards here that were not included and get the rest of the cards that were included in here. So hopefully I find everything, and I will probably post a picture on Discord once it's all put together, because this thing's going to be massive. It's probably going to fill up 2 or maybe 3 of these white boxes. So that'll be a fun project for this weekend after I do my taxes. So I got to do that too. It might be more important. I don't know. But anyways, I hope to see you guys at the Type 2 only next week. After the Type 2 only, I do plan to start up another Type 2 Lackey Grand Prix. So if you are interested in participating in that, keep an eye out on the Lackey Grand Prix channels for that. I'll probably put an announcement in the main Discord as well. But I do want to just start making people more aware of Type 2. I think it's picking up a little bit of traction, and so I'm excited to see where it will go, because I'm a big Type 2 fan, Type 2 player at heart. I plan on playing Type 2 at Nationals this year after not playing last year. I'm taking a year off to play some booster draft, I guess, is what was with it, and what is with it again this year at Nationals. So if you are interested in getting some Type 2 experience or exposure, you can come to the tournament, or at least watch it online, participate in the Lackey Grand Prix, and after the tournament there will probably be some information about the decks that were played. If I can get deck lists, I would love to post those, make those public. We'll just kind of see what's available, play it by ear a little bit from there. But hopefully that would be enough to kind of get people started, and seeing a Type 2 deck like, hey, I could probably build this. It's not too different from my Type 1 deck. I just need a few extra copies of certain cards. And if it's in the in the deck builder app, then maybe you can just see what all you need to build it and order it from Your Turn Games with just a click of a few buttons. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this little breakdown of this massive cube project that we'll be implementing next week. I probably won't be able to keep it together because I'll need to use cards for my other decks, or my collection and stuff. But I do hope that this can be something that we can refine, maybe revisit next year, or we'll do something else, maybe Type 2 teams or something on Friday night, just to have a kind of fun, off the wall, a little bit chaotic Type 2 related event for the Type 2 only tournament. So, with all that said, thank you all for watching, and we'll catch you all next time.